Coming up on today's show.
Now, one of the disadvantages or a con for the planner is that they're not flexible.
Yeah, but what if that person coming into your office is your boss?
I'm sorry, I'm doing this project. What is more important? Should I finish this project or should I go on to the next thing?
Does time really matter? We'll find out today on Keeping You Organized. Hello and welcome to Keeping You Organized. Today we're going to ask the question, does time really matter? And I think we all believe it, but we have a special guest with us. It's Paris Love. She's a speaker and a organizational consultant. And Paris, how you doing?
Yeah.
Good. Anyway, before we talk about time, let's just give us a little background on what you do at the Productivity Institute.
So we go into corporate offices and help our clients organize and better manage their time.
Okay, that's great. Well, we're talking about time today. So how do we want to move forward here and kind of just talking about how time relates to people and how we become more productive?
So what I did a few years ago, I created 5 time styles. And I go over the 5, but I really want to stick to 2 because the 2 that I want to talk about were really prevalent among my clients. And I think everyone, your listeners, can really relate to the 2 that we're going to talk about.
Okay. Well, what's the first one?
The first one's the planner.
Okay. Now I get this image in my mind. You know, the planner is the person walking around with a little. Although it's all digital, a lot of people use digital, a lot of people still have the paper planner, but what are the characteristics of the planner?
That is absolutely right. The planner is very organized. They always have a planner, whether it's a paper calendar, whether it's their iPhone, iPad, they plan everything. So that's one of the pros of being the planner.
Okay. Well, now give us an example, maybe of a client. You don't have to use their name or someone who is the planner and how they operate, and are they hard to be around, or is this a planner someone who can have a little fun in their life too?
Well, actually, the planner this is the best part. So they're very organized. They plan out everything from the time they get up in the morning to the time they go to bed. Now, one of the disadvantages or a con for the planner is that they're not flexible. So imagine yourself in the office, and I have clients like this. They're in the office, they have their calendar out, and they have their iPhone, and someone walks in their office and says, hey, can we do X, Y, and Z? And they'll look at you and go, excuse me? It's not on my planner, it's not in my digital file, it won't happen. But I can make some time for you, let's schedule it out. Well, the person who walked into your office is like, seriously? We just can't spontaneously do it now. Well, and the planner's like, no, because if it's not planned, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but what if that person coming into your office is your boss? Sometimes that we're at the mercy of other people, right?
We are. But you know what? And I think a lot of people struggle with that, whether it's your boss coming in or someone else, and you need it right then and there. And so it's very respectfully to say, I'm sorry, I'm doing this project. What is more important? Should I finish this project or should I go on to the next thing? And when we in a respectful manner, then they go, oh, okay, you know what? I did interrupt you. I'm taking you away from something else. So perhaps you can finish that and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and you kind of put the ball in their court, so they have to choose between 2 options. I mean, because most likely they're the one that gave you the other work to do as well.
Yes.
Now, is there? Can you become a planner, or are you born a planner? I mean, is something you learn, or I mean, there's a debate on that. But what do you think about that?
I think that some of us are born to be planners, and then there are some of us who struggle with the planning. But here's the thing, here's the key. Consistency is the key. And so when I say consistency is key, when you recognize that you're falling back into your own ways, just get back on a horse and start it over again. I think a lot of times people struggle with that because they start something, and the reason why they don't finish is because there's no consistency, but you have to keep that momentum going. So recognize, I fell off the horse. It's okay. Let me get back on and continue this process.
Right. So do you think when we're talking about these different styles, and this is the planner style, is this something that you would tell people, okay, here's an option for you? Or do you think the planner is something that you need to have certain qualifications in order to be that type of style, or maybe there's a different style that's better for you?
I talk about one of my clients. I have a client, every year, January 1st, they plan out their entire year. So they know exactly what they're doing that entire year. Now remember, the planner, they have no flexibility sometimes. So if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. But what this client does, even though everything's planned out for the entire year, every night they go through to see what they're doing the next day. And then they also do on Sunday, they look out the week, what's going to happen that week. So say for instance, on Sunday, you look and say, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I have these projects, I have these meetings, but also the night before, review that again, because remember that boss that we had that walked into our office? Well, on Tuesday, they went in our calendar and they added another client to it. And see, the planner knows that even though they looked at it on Sunday, they have to look at it again the night before, because emergencies and things happen like that.
Right. Well, what else does a planner need to really consider when they're using that style of organization? And it's not for everybody, but it definitely is. A lot of people can be very disciplined at that. What are some of the habits that they need to have?
So well organized. And you'll notice at the planner, they have their, whether it's a paper calendar or a digital version, everything is color coordinated, everything, all the colors coordinate with specific things. So for example, your clients would be like blue. Your meetings might be green. So everything is organized, color coordinated. Also, the planner has to realize that they have to be flexible in their schedule and leave some flexible time, because meetings might go over, or you might have that spontaneous client who just walks in your door and they weren't on your calendar. So you want to have some type of flexibility.
Now, when you're working with clients like this, what areas do you help them in? Because it sounds like if you're a planner, you've got your whole act together. What kind of advice, or where does a planner usually struggle?
They struggle with paper, the paper aspect of it. And I noticed that even though we are supposed to be a paperless society, what we have done is create more paper. So a lot of times they have it written down, but they get little pieces of paper, like the little sticky notes, the little index cards, and they write it on there and then attempt to put it on their planner later. Some of them will put it on the planner later, some of them won't. And then I find that the clients who have the digital version, like the Google Calendar, now we are creating electronic clutter. We're putting everything in our electronics, and now that's creating clutter for us as well. So I come in and try to streamline those processes.
Great. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the other style that we want to talk, the other time style. We've talked about planner. So we are with Paris Love. She's a speaker, a productivity and organizational consultant, and we'll be right back. When you've got it together, everyone can tell. Your confidence is obvious. Introducing Viewables.com from Smead. Use the Viewables labeling system to transform your drawer of hanging files into a tidy, organized filing system. Using the premium hanging folder tabs, see the label from the front, top, and back. It's easy. Access Viewables.com from any computer, tablet, or internet-enabled smartphone. Let's make some labels. It's free, and there's nothing to download or install. Choose the label type and format your label just the way you want. You can even add index characters or icons for distinctive filing. Set up a free Viewables cloud account, and your secure login lets you save your projects for convenient access from any computer. And with Viewable's multi-purpose labels, you can use one label for any type of file, including hanging folders, top tab folders, super tab folders, or oversized items like notebooks and file boxes. Upload a list of file headings and print your complete set of labels in moments. There's even a library of templates for commonly used label sets. It's never been easier to set up neat-looking files that have easy-to-read headings and efficient color codes. Obviously organized. Viewables.com. From Smead, keeping you organized. We're back now on Keeping You Organized, talking about does time really matter? And we're with Paris Love, a speaker, productivity and organizational consultant from Paris Love, productivityinstitute.com. I got that all in one voice or in one breath there, didn't I? I did a pretty good job on that, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You got it.
Awesome. Well, we talked about earlier in the show that there's 5 time styles. We're not going to talk about all 5. And before the break, we talked about the planner. What's the other style that you want to talk about today?
This is going to be everyone's favorite. This is, wait for it, the multitasker.
Uh-oh, multitasker. Isn't everybody a multitasker in this world? It seems like we all have to do 1,000 different things.
We are. And here's the interesting thing. Some of us are very good at it, and then some of us aren't so good at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's deal with the multitasker, and maybe we could talk about it in relation to another one of your clients. And how do you, first of all, identify that they're this type, and how can you help them?
So so one particular client I have, they, from the outside, it's like, oh my goodness, they can do everything. They're in meetings, they're eating lunch, they're on the phone, like they're all over the place. They can juggle multiple things, and they have family, and they're very active in the community. You're like, wow, I want to be like them. But when you when you walk in and you look in a little deeper, it's chaotic.
Right.
Because you're trying to do too much at once. Now, there are some things you can multitask. And I always ask people, can you walk, talk, and chew gum at the same time? And some people go, well, sure, I can do that. And then other people stop and think, well, not really. And that's okay. I think in our society, and we are a microwave society, we want everything quick, fast, in a hurry. Mm-hmm. It's okay that you can't do multiple things at once. And I always ask my client, because when I came in, they're like, well, Paris, I have to do a zillion things at the same time. And so I posed the question, is it better to do one thing well or to do multiple things just okay?
Mm-hmm. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, and I think some people honestly can pull it off. They're able to, I don't know what it is, if their brain or something, they're able to kind of just make it happen. Other people, they can only do one thing at a time, and that's it. And so I think that might be one of those kinds of styles too, where probably hard to learn how to do that. I don't know, if you were to teach someone on how to do that, what are some of the techniques that you'd use?
Well, here's a little test that I give my clients. So I want you to imagine you're at the dinner table, and you have some sweet peas, you have mashed potatoes, and you have a steak on your plate. Mm-hmm. How do you eat your food? Do you get a little bit of the sweet peas, a little bit of the mashed potatoes, and eat a little of the meat? Or do you eat all of your peas, all of your mashed potatoes, and then all of your meat? Mm-hmm. If you do the latter, where you eat one thing at a time, that means you're not well at multitasking. If you can get a little bit of your peas, the mashed potatoes, and the meat, that means you can multitask well.
Right. Well, that's kind of how I feel. I feel like I kind of eat a little bit of everything at once and all at once, and so that might be an indicator. How do you help a multitasker be more productive?
So what we do, I come in and I said, what are the projects, what are the tasks that we have to do? Because it's really easy to get into that I have to do it all right now in quick, fast, in a hurry. Mm-hmm. So what we do, I come in and we get laser focused. What's more important? Because let's do the thing that's urgent right now, and let's work on that right now. Once we finish that, then we can move on to the next thing. Instead of doing this urgent task, and then I got to do this project. Oops, somebody walked in the door, let me help them. And then you're all over the place, you're very scattered, and that urgent task gets put to the back burner.
Right. So, I mean, do you think, we talked about the planner before and we have the multitasker, is it in an either or thing? I think you kind of alluded to this a little earlier. Someone can have a little bit of both. I mean, how does that work?
Yes. So you can be same client who's a planner can also multitask certain things. And I'm not saying not to ever multitask. There are some things that we can multitask on. There are some things we really need to be laser focused on. So you will find a little bit of the planner and multitasker in one person. However, one is going to be more dominant. You're going to go more towards the planner side or more towards the multitasker side.
Okay. All right. Now, when you meet with a client for the first time, what kinds of questions are you asking them to kind of discern what type they are and what kind of challenges they have?
Actually, I do something that's really interesting. Before our appointment, actually do what I call a drive-by, not an actual drive-by,
okay.
But I go by unannounced because I want to see how they interact when I'm not around. Because here's the thing, when clients know that a professional organizer or productivity consultant is coming, they're in their best behavior.
They get organized before you come, right?
Yes, exactly. So I want you to be your best behavior, but I really want to hone in on what's really causing you to lose productivity. Okay. So I would go by and I just observe some of the things that they do. And then once we have our appointment, we sit down and we talk about, how did you handle this project? What do you feel is more important? What are your priorities here? Right. And so I've already observed how they worked without me being around, kind of like that little, I'm spying on them in a sense. Right. And then when I come in, I could say, because one thing, when I come in, it's like, okay, I'm ready for you. I cleared off my desk. I'm like, I came by the other day and it was a little disorganized and I saw you were going all over the place. What's really going on there? Yeah. And so I really want people to take off their masks because I really need to see what happens when that mask is off so I can really help you get to where you need to be.
Right. That's great. That's great advice. We're almost out of time here. What I want to do is just talk a little bit more specifically about your business, what kinds of work you do, and how people can get a hold of you. What's the best way to reach you? And if you just do work in your local area or do you do stuff all over the country? Some people do virtual work. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your institute and what you do?
Okay, so at the Paris Law Productivity Institute, and I know it's very long.
It'll be in our show notes, though, so if someone didn't write all that down, we'll have that available for them.
Okay, so what we do, we go into corporate offices and we work with clients with the physical clutter, but we also work on helping them better manage their time. So if you are that paper calendar person, we work on that. If you are a digital client, we work on that as well. And we create systems and processes for you. I am local in Alabama. However, I travel all over the country for my clients and we can work virtually or in person. A lot of my clients like me right next to them side by side because that way they're more accountable for what they're going to do.
Right. Great. Well, like I said, we're going to have that in the show notes. And if people want to get a hold of you, it's ParisLoveProductivityInstitute.com. And thank you so much for joining us today. This is very interesting. We'll have to have you back to talk about the other 3 styles we didn't even touch on.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, there you go, folks. Now we know that time does really matter, and it's time for us to go. So we'll catch you next time on Keeping You Organized.